so a month ago, it felt like Michigan recruiting was dead and that we didn't know why it was dead. Were they trying to brace for impact for maybe some sanctions, or was there just not a lot of money and resources pouring in? Was the staff struggling connecting with some kids? Were other programs just stepping up in a way that Michigan wasn't, out recruiting them? Did Michigan not have a lot of good fits? There's a lot of reasons why a program can succeed at recruiting or struggle with it. Michigan traditionally has not struggled with recruiting because of their blue blood name, but now that doesn't matter as much as it used to. It still matters. Their blue blood reputation does, certainly. But if you're not paying players, if you're not working 24/7, a 24/7, or maybe you could even say like 25/8 operation, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, and you have to pack it into 24 hours in a day, or more like 16 if you're going to get, decent sleep, and 7 days a week. Recruiting is a 365, 24/7 job right now in college football. It just is. And there are very few, if any, off days in football. And Michigan self-imposed some off days where they couldn't be in contact with players. They imposed some light recruiting restrictions. And at one point, their class was well outside the top 25. And now, sitting here today, I can confidently say that it is a top 20 recruiting class with 14 commits. Michigan landed a top 100 wide receiver per 24/7 Sports. Composite's also good to use, and he's a little outside the top 100. His name's Zion Robinson, 6'3", 180. I just prefer to use 24/7 Sports only. Composite's pretty good, though. I think both are better than On3 Rivals or anything else. And On3 and Rivals are now a part of the same company. They're merging. Michigan 2 days ago landed a commit from Titan Davis out of Missouri, who is one of the better defensive linemen in the nation. They've retained the commitment of Brady Smigiel that they got in April, and they also earlier this month earned commits from defensive linemen Alistair Vallejo and Mikhail Blade. And other commitments that have surfaced recently, Jonathan Brown on June 22nd at running back. Today, Michigan got a commit from Marky Walbridge. So 2 commitments today at the time of this recording. They also a week ago got a kicker in Micah Drescher from Illinois. They're building a class that is really strong on the defensive line. It seems like they're still trying to go after top offensive linemen. I know Michigan just got a crystal ball for a offensive tackle that Texas, Alabama, and some others, I believe, are going after. I know for a fact Texas has wanted him. Don't quote me on any of the other schools. But it's a good class right now. It's 15th overall, 14 commits, and their average player rank per commit is a 90.8. That is higher than Florida, who's just behind them with 13 commits. It's higher than Minnesota, who's ahead of them with 24. Higher than Illinois at 12th overall with 22. It's higher than Texas's with an 89.9 average rank per commit. They have 15. It's ahead of UCLA's at 11, Florida State's, Penn State's. It's only behind the teams in the top 7, and then a spotty team in Oregon, who's 29th right now. Just talked about Oregon recruiting the other day and how there are some struggles with Oregon recruiting, but they have 10 commits. It's the best overall class right now in terms of average rank per commit, per recruit. They're at 29th. Alabama is at 34th. 91.99 average rank per recruit with 10 commits. So Michigan's recruiting at a high level right now. And if they continue the momentum, if they continue with that, to build on it and to keep the foot on the gas, all gas, no brakes, as I think that was once the slogan, or maybe it is still the slogan, of Steve Sarkisian and Texas football, who are the premier recruiting program right now in my mind. If they keep that up, they can easily earn a top 10 class, easily. And a great class on the defensive line where they have 3 high caliber defensive line commits, a great quarterback commit, a wonderful wide receiver commit, Michigan gets Andrew Marsh last cycle, and it looks like they're going to get Zion Robinson here if they can hold on to him, of course. And they're going after a 5-star wide receiver. I mean, Michigan is going hard after Calvin Russell from Florida, who's viewed as the third best receiver in the nation. And some other players they're going after are Savion Hyder, number 1 running back in the nation from Missouri, Carter Meadows, a wonderful edge out of Gonzaga, Washington, D.C. It's the same high school Caleb Williams went to. 5th overall edge, Celessi Moa, they're warm for. Athlete out of Utah, Devon Benjamin, John Turrentine III, Braden Rose. They're going after a lot of Kevin Obot, for example. And then I could go on. Malachi Lee is the offensive tackle they just received a crystal ball for. He's announcing his commitment in 2 days. And Alabama, Georgia, and Texas are competing with Michigan for his services, 6'6", 318 pounds. So Michigan recruiting right now is absolutely on fire. It's hot, and it's something to pay attention to. I've talked about before how Ohio State's class right now is a uber high-quality class. I've talked about how Michigan State and Jonathan Smith have gained recruiting momentum. Minnesota and Illinois, from my perspective, essentially have completed their recruiting classes already and are just trying to hold on to the commits they already have. There's a lot of Big Ten teams that are heating up right now in recruiting or have heated up, and Michigan right now could be the hottest one with all the momentum that they are gaining. So that's that in terms of Michigan recruiting right there. I wonder how many of those talented 5-stars and top 100 players they're going after will actually commit to Michigan. But I can say for a fact, I don't think this is based off of opinion, looking at Michigan's 2025 recruiting class, coming off of an 8-5 year, also coming off of a national championship season, yes, but an 8-5 year being the closest thing in those recruits' minds, in the back of their minds. The fact they landed nearly a top 5 recruiting class and the prior Harbaugh team struggled to land top 15 classes, I think tells you everything you need to know. I think that Sherrone Moore and this current staff is a better recruiting staff than the previous staff that Michigan had in 2023 or even 2022 or 2021. Now, I think those staffs were better. I think that they had more NFL caliber assistant coaches and more elite developmental schematic position coaches, but recruiting is important in college football. It's very important. So, yeah, I mean, Michigan recruiting right now it's up there, and it's going to trend in the right direction, I think, continue to do so, especially if Michigan wins this fall.